When I first saw this little gem on Etsy, I said, not only could I make one out of a 2x6, but I could make two of them from a 2x6. And not only that, but I could make it using just a drill and a jigsaw. These 3-tier sparkling grape juice holders make a perfect gift, and if they don't want this beautifully handcrafted item, sell a few of them for 92% profit, and buy them whatever useless, throw it in a drawer in 2 weeks, trinket they actually asked for. Get a 2x6, print out the plans. They'll look a little fancier than these here. Once you do have them printed off, they are the same width. There is a line. It's probably going to be gone. To show you the edge of your 2x6 being 5.5 inches wide. And you just line the two papers up on this little dotted line, and it makes our wine holder. If you guys have a way to trace this onto your board, awesome. If you don't, you're going to have to print the plans 2 more times because you won't be able to reuse your plans. Bada bing. You said it was a straightforward build. Well, it's the same process. You just need to do it 3 times. This bottom one, I did have it as a full circle in the original plans that I had completely 100% printed out. Doesn't matter. And I opened it up because I can't cut an inside circle on my bandsaw. And it's also a little more tricky to do it if you're using your jigsaw. With it like this, you could literally just attack the board, bandsaw, attack the board. If it had a full circle, now it's a complicated build. So I opened it up and it looks pretty cool. If you consider scissors a tool, add it to the list. You're just going to cut on that kind of shaded line to make it the same width as our 2x6. Another quick tip, you don't have to cut the shape out on the black line because you're going to be doing that with your saw here in a moment. So the white section isn't going to stick around anyway. So I just leave them as 2 gigantic pieces of paper. And I start out with the base, the very bottom of it, because this top paper overlaps, so I can fully glue that down to this page as it's glued down to the board. So I'm starting with the bottom. I've also stolen the Elmer's Craft Bond glue from the craft room. At this point, I'm not borrowing it. It's been in the garage for 3 weeks. It's not going back in the house. We'll replace it. This is a miracle worker because you can just put it on the back. It's repositionable, and I don't know, it comes off super easy. I want it to just kiss the corners. This one is way over the edge. That's what I'm looking for. And we're going to repeat that for the top. Actually, the only thing I'm going to trim the top a little bit because that's ridiculous. And that would be completely waste unless I glued on top of it as well. And again, we're lining it up, making sure that this edge just gently goes over in line with that dotted line. Just like that. And then we're going to repeat this all the way down, just gluing these others into place. You wouldn't want this back anyway because it's got all kinds of sawdust in it now. And there you go. You need 3 of them for this project here today. And we've only taken up less than 48 inches of this board. Means I could get an entire duplicated set on the other half of this 2x6. And I pretty much have wasted an inch in between each one of these. If you wanted to scrunch them together, you really don't need to. Although this project is 100% doable with only your handheld drill, a jigsaw, and a pair of scissors, I'm using my miter saw to cut the 3 pieces apart. A quick thing I'd like to just get off my chest. If I say, hey everybody, cut that out with the jigsaw, what I end up doing is filming the 6-second clip of me starting to cut it on the jigsaw, and then I head right on over to the bandsaw, and I finish cutting it out, and I come back, and I'm like, whew, man, got her cut out. I didn't. I went to the bandsaw. Because I happen to own a bandsaw, and it's straighter, it's nicer than my handheld jigsaw. But I get it. Not everybody has a bandsaw. Some people are, getting the old jigsaw out. I get it. I was there once. So how hard is it to cut this out with just the jigsaw? Let's find out. Now, my tips on jigsaw using, I grab a piece of foam board. I lay that on top of the workbench. put my piece on top of that. What that does is it allows me to actually cut into the foam instead of into my workbench, and I don't have to try to clamp it all jig-jaggy off to the side and, you know, cut around everything and risk, you know, these little thin spots breaking or splitting and ruining my day because I'm hanging it over the side and I can't support it because it's too close to the blade, yada, yada, yada. I also like to just keep a scrap piece of material the same height as that because it supports this side of my jigsaw as I cut things out. So I keep that kind of handy so that way I can, you know, start my cuts and end my cuts and get in there with this. I thought I was in luck and I was like, ooh, I got a hole saw for this, but it's actually a 4-inch. I thought I had a 3.5-inch. I do not. So I have a 4-inch. It would work. I'd have just a little bit extra space for the wine bottles, but I want to keep them 3 5/8, not 4 inches. I think 4 inches, it's going to make the circles a little too big for me because I already added quite a bit of extra space for these to fit my little sparkling grape juices back there. I don't drink alcohol, so that's what we're putting in them. All right, let's see how this goes. Can see why these are selling for over $100 on Etsy because they are sick. And I prematurely got a little excited, as one does, and I ripped the paper off of this one to show you guys just how nice Craft Von Elmer's craft glue was. But we need the papers on here. You need the papers on here because you're going to have to drill some holes. That's where the drill comes into play. And I'm just using a 3/8-inch drill bit. I got a 3/8-inch oak dowel. Apparently I do have oak dowels in the garage. Didn't for the trivet video. It's cool. And I'm only going about the depth of my Forstner bit. I don't need to go too deep. I don't need to go all the way through. If you want to, when it's all completed, if you want to see that dowel spot, you want to contrast it with a different kind of wood, you could do so. That's not what I'm doing. So I'm only going down the depth of my Forstner bit. Use a little caution. You don't want to split this out because you are drilling into the most fragile spot on your project. You know what? You may need to print the plan out just one more time because one goes like this, the other one is the opposite direction, and this one is this direction. So no matter what, you won't have the plans on one of the sides. So, and if you're real careful and good, you can just remove your plan, flip-flop it over to get it lined up for this next hole. There we go. We've got the front, which has our 3 holes. I've got this one, which again, the arms face the opposite ways for the top. He's got his holes. He's got his holes. Bam. And then this guy being the back, no holes on the back, holes on the interior, where it goes like that. So, fun stuff. Now we can move on to sanding. So sand these however you like, whatever tools you got to sand these babies smooth, go for it. If you want to leave that kind of chiseled looking rough sawed look on the outside, people might like it. You know, might leave a couple like that anyway. Farmhouse look. It's where we don't sand and we leave all the blemishes. I honestly couldn't tell you which one of these I'd cut out with the jigsaw and which ones I cut out with the bandsaw. They're pretty close. I did manage to, I see this one was splitting a little bit and I said, that's weird, snap. Oh, great, wonderful. So curiosity got me again. I just threw in some super glue, glued that joint back together, held it for 4 minutes, and next step, I just take that 3/8 dowel rod, we're cutting it to 1 3/4 of an inch long, and then I gently sand the edges of them just so they're rounded just a bit, goes in the hole a little bit easier, and a little bit of Titebond glue, and hopefully when we hammer these in, it doesn't explode more joints. We'll find out. So you're going to take that piece that has 1 on each side, you're going to set it aside. We're not starting with it. You're going to take one of the other ones. I'm starting with the one that I messed up because I'm a little scared. Putting an extremely small amount of super glue in here. I don't want to push this down and the excess glue pool stops it from actually driving my dowel rod down farther because I need all of these to match up. No, all right. They just look long. I don't know. Ugh, every tap scares me. Then you're going to find your center, and it should line up with all of these holes, just like that. Again, the arms are going to be different directions. If you put them the same way, I guess. Doesn't really matter. It has a catch, but... Yeah, he just needs a little glue and a clamp. It'll hold them together just fine. Except for this one that's exploded. We did it. Put some glue in the joint, 2 scrap pieces. Pretty sure that's exactly where they came from to start with, and we'll see if it pops apart when I take the clamps off. And there you go. I'm gonna go grab that other tall, skinny piece of softwood and build another one. But this time, I'm gonna use the good-looking plans. Got them done yesterday. And if you happen to print them and they print on landscape, you're going to get a super tiny, adorable little wine bottle holder. And I just happen to have perfect little sparkling apple juices that might fit into that. We'll see if we have time.